it almost taints every revelation that he gives when you see that there's a selfish motive behind almost everything that he says. Or when you see instances in the Book of Mormon where he's written in revelation or written in prophecy that prophesies of himself. That's narcissistic. That's very, very interesting that somebody has the cognition to do such a thing and, plans on using that point of revelation or of inspiration as a tool later on to claim that they are the one true prophet of God. It shows a lot of foresight, shows a lot of intelligence, and it shows a large level of delusions of grandeur, of thinking that he's way bigger and better and more awesome than he really was. But even then,
huge cojones.
Huge cojones. I don't know how this guy walked. They must have been like banging against his thighs. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, he's just such a fascinating individual. And that's one thing I find more fascinating is he was so damn smart too. I don't think he was anywhere near as book smart as quite a few people he was surrounded by. He was smart enough to surround himself with people that were smarter than him. But he was able to deceive and dupe them, so that wasn't the important part of it. But he was, just in his ability to read people and his street smarts, I think, he was one hell of an individual. I'd like to shake his hand and, have a 10-minute conversation with him if ever we can perfect those back in time goggles or whatever. The look behind hindsight goggles.
The Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine. I like it. Yes.
Do you know where Saskatchewan is? Probably not. It's in Canada. If you do, you might know a city named Regina. In Regina, there's a studio. And in that studio, there are, at least once a month, a bunch of skeptical atheist geeks and goofballs who get together to do a podcast. We are the Brainstorm Crew, and we're trying to help spread a bit of reason and critical thinking while still having fun. Never taking things too seriously, but still not accepting everything we're told. We go through different topics, exploring them in depth, and often disagreeing. We try to stick to provable facts, and we never trust a myth. That's why we say we're woo-free since 2013. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker under Brainstorm, or check out our website, brainstormblog.net. I can't promise you'll always agree with us, but I can promise you'll have fun listening to us.
All right, we're going to start wrapping it up now, Bryce. Something I wanted to ask you about, and I'd love the listeners to be able to hear about, is you have a book project coming up, don't you?
I do. I have a book project in the works, actually. So with that, if anybody is interested in punishing themselves with that 7.5-hour anniversary episode, it's called CC Book of Mormon. At the end of it, I put out a petition and say, hey, I'm setting up a GoFundMe page. It's called 6 Months, 2 Books. And if it gets funded, then I'm going to put out 2 books in a 6-month amount of time. Well, it got funded, and I'm working on the first book. The problem is I didn't expect this first book to take as much time as it is, but the peer review process is a very, very challenging thing. And then creating a peer reviewable book this way about the Book of Mormon is very challenging, and there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting that would take as long as it is. So right now I'm getting that first book churned out. I'm a few months into this 6 months here, and it's on track within the timeline. There's no way in hell it's going to be 2 books. It's just going to be the one main book on the Book of Mormon, and then the second book in this the second book that I'm planning on doing is actually going to be kind of a historical fiction type of thing that will take on most of Mormon history and like put it in context and like put you in the window, or looking at it through a window of what it was like to be there, right? So like The Work and the Glory are Mormon publications of a fictional family that was growing up that joined the church in Joseph Smith's time. Well, I kind of want to do the same thing, only from a historically tenable perspective. Actually talk about real history instead of a fantasized version that the Work and the Glory talks about. So, yeah, that's the premise or the idea behind the 2 books, and the first book is, it's definitely in the workings right now.
Now, is that GoFundMe still active, or is it closed out?
Yeah, it's going to be active for the whole 6 months, so it's going to be going until June. However, the GoFundMe, it's pretty much trickled down to a stop. Okay. There's been a couple donations here and there. For the most part, people are just signing up a Patreon, which is much better. It's much more sustainable, if I should say, than just a single one-time donation is on GoFundMe. I mean, I'll take, instead of, a $50 donation on GoFundMe, I'll take a $2 per episode donation any day over that. So, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, it has been completely funded for a while now. And, but yeah, most of the support's coming in on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Naked Mormonism.
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to have you do is, I'm going to have you send me both of the links, and then we'll also add nakedmormonism.com to the show links also. So if any of the listeners want to go there to be able to listen to more of Bryce, that'll be in the show notes, plus the Patreon, plus the GoFundMe account. Past that, I think, if you want to hear the smooth and sexy stylings of David Michael and also hear some more from Bryce, you can go over to My Book of Mormon podcast. And I'm pretty sure isn't the website the same thing with the podcast end on it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yep.
Okay. So mybookofmormonpodcast.com to listen to David Michael, who has the sexiest voice in all of podcasting.
Pretty much.
And then hopefully we'll have him on, eventually. Beyond that, are any other future plans you would like to discuss, or anything else you'd like to promote?
That's been pretty much it. That's all the irons that I have in the open fire right now. I have a couple others in my back pocket that I'm working on at the moment, but they're way too early to talk about. At the moment, I think we pretty much discussed everything that is the world of Bryce. So yeah, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this interview a lot.
I enjoyed having you on here, and hopefully for the next episode, I'm going to have the missing Novella brother, Joseph Novella. He is Bob Novella's twin brother. I've met him twice on occasion, both times at Nexus, and really cool guy. So I'm really looking forward to having him on the podcast, hopefully next week. So with that, thanks for coming on, Bryce. That was really cool, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I really enjoyed that quite a lot.
Well, I love doing the recordings like this, interviews, try to make it really comfortable. I don't know if you've ever listened to like, the Nerdist or anything like that, but, just to sit down and have a good, comfortable conversation, it's an interview, but not really an interview. It's just really, like I said, then the Facebook message, just a way for me to talk to people that I find really cool. It's just, I use the podcast as a front for that.
Right. No, well, that's a good way to do it though. I mean, I've only been able to talk to a few people that I admire just because I have a podcast. So, I mean, yeah, dude, that's a good way to do it. But I mean, all in all, you conducted a hell of a good interview. This has been, it was really easy flowing. The conversations flowed really well. So yeah, I mean, I just really enjoyed the hell out of it. That was great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've had you on here for an hour and almost 35 minutes. So, hey man, again, thanks for coming on. If you ever have anything you want to promote, or maybe I can just have you on after a while if something exciting happens, we'll have you back on. But past that, man, thanks for coming on. It really was awesome.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
My emotions, you lied about